that I was alone with him, he would tell me that working for the theater was just a good place to be. That's all. And that's all he was about.
That quote that I began my article with, that was from Ezra Pound's Ballad of the Goodly Fair. And that was about Christ. That was about Christ. It was, you'll not get him in a book, I think, was the thing I quoted. And it's like a West England dialect the guy's speaking in. He speaks of Christ as if he were, he was a fisherman, man among men. He liked to drink his pint and so forth. And it reminded me of Tom, especially the first line, of course. You'll never get him in a book because so many things he did well. I like the guy. Yeah.
So Tom was always very humble about those things. He'd go, please, please, no more thanks. So if we would bring him up on stage and give him flowers. No, no, no. He was very modest,
I have to say, one of the highlights of my 11 years at Antrim is being on stage with Tom.
Oh,
No, I'm not kidding.
Last night down here in the valley, I'm lonesome, but oh, how I feel as I sit here alone in my cabin. I can see your mansion on the hill. Do you recall when we parted? A promise to me you revealed. You said you could live without love, dear, in your loveless mansion on the hill.
The next generation, we just have to pass it down to them, to tell them about Tom, so that he won't be forgotten. But I think that will happen, because you can't talk about Antrim and not talk about Tom.
Miss hearing Helen. No, except that I'll still hear it.
I cannot imagine Antrim going on without him. I still have funny feelings about going to Antrim when he's not there. It's like his ghost. I expect to hear his voice. I expect to see him.
His voice, there's no one in that theater, I must say, has a voice like his. And I still hear him when he comes up the steps, because he sang while he was coming up all the time. So I still hear that voice.
He made you feel better. When you spent time with him, whether you were acting with him, whether you were directing with him, whether you were helping him sweep the floor, it was never hard time. It was time well spent. And as I say, it was just part of him. He didn't work at it. He just was. He made you smile.
Everything. He was such a nice man and such a good friend. I missed his optimism and his laughter and his can-do attitude, and just having him around. I mean, not that, I haven't seen him as regularly as I used to, but he's a person who you just can't ever picture really leaving this earth, because he's so precious, so precious.
I don't know what train she's on. Won't you please tell me where she is gone?
And
And I know at a cast party during Snow White, he talked about moments, not events, but moments that people have in their life that is so special. And one night on stage, there was a moment between Tom and I that I've never shared with anyone. And I only shared it with him. And I know what he meant.
He took the part in Snow White, and he just had a ball. He loved being on the stage. He lit it up. So, as with every production, we have cast parties. We had two of the greatest cast parties ever during Snow White. One was at Tom's house, and one was at Helen Ballantyne's house. And the amazing thing was, Snow White had a lot of young ladies who never had been to the theater before, and he absolutely mesmerized them. He became their guru.
It didn't say nothing. That side was meant for you and me. This is your land. This land is mine. From California to the New York Island, and Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
That was good singing. Are you photographing all this? Nobody give your right name. The police are looking for this film.
I'm gonna take a trip on the old gospel ship. I'm going far beyond the sky. I'm gonna shout and sing until the bells all ring when I bid this world goodbye. I've got good news to bring, this is why I sing. All my joy with you I'll share. I'm gonna take a trip on the old gospel ship and go sailing through the air. I'm gonna take a trip on the old gospel ship. I'm going far beyond the sky. I'm gonna shout and sing until the bells all ring when I bid this world goodbye. If you're ashamed of me, well, you ought not to be. And you'd better have a prayer. If too much fault you find, you'll soon be left behind when I'm sailing through the air. I'm gonna take a trip on the old gospel ship. I'm going far beyond the sea. I'm gonna take a trip on the old gospel ship, and you'll soon be following me.